Hello and welcome to the latest Plastribution Insights interview, where we discuss a topic of interest to our industry. With me today from our technical team is Joe Putt, our resident expert in all things regulatory affairs.
Yeah.
So we're talking today about the significant changes that Extended Producer Responsibility, or EPR, will bring to the UK packaging industry. This legislation marks a major shift in how we manage packaging waste, placing much more responsibility on brand owners to design sustainably and also to contribute financially to managing the waste. So, Joe, let's just kick off with what is EPR?
Simply, it's it's a tax. It's a policy framework that makes brand owners responsible for the full life cycle of the packaging that they place on the market. So it includes things like covering the cost of collection, recycling and disposal. The aim is to drive more sustainable packaging design and reduce the environmental impact of consumer packaging waste.
Okay, thank you. So what's the timeline that we're looking at for implementation?
So the full implementation with costs has been deferred to October 2025, so not too far away. Producers and brand owners have been required to collect and report on their usage data since January 2023. So they'll have full data by April 2025. The data returns will be used then to provide the costs.
Okay, so in terms of the cost, what are the financial implications of this scheme?
Yeah, so it's designed in that the brand owners will be covering 100% of the sort of recycling collection costs for household packaging waste. The government's expecting to raise around £2 billion annually through these charges. For plastic producers specifically, the current illustrative fee for plastic packaging is £485 a tonne. Coming in from 2026, these fees will also be modulated. So there's going to be a green, amber, red scale for recyclability or recycled, how much is currently recycled. Green obviously getting a slightly lower fee, amber being the standard, and red getting higher fees. The penalties for red are going to amp up over time, so it's 1.2 times in 2026, rising up to 2 times in 2028. And so this is where you're sort of getting that incentivization to use a more easily recycled packaging.
Okay, it sounds good in theory. So I think I've read that some major retailers are estimating EPR costs to hit around about £40 million. And there's estimates that it will be around about £56 per household because of EPR. Yeah. So it sounds like, this is going to present some challenges. So what are we facing as an industry?
As an industry, one of the first concerns is always data collection sort of thing. So especially for SMEs, it's making sure you've got all the required data and doing the admin. Again, talking about admin and more difficult for smaller producers, the cost pressures may also be disproportionately large for smaller producers. For people selling to brand owners, there's going to be a lot of pressure to reduce weight and meet the green recyclability assessments. So I'd suggest any packaging producer, either if they're going to be paying the EPR directly or producing for a brand owner, to make sure they're familiar with the recyclability assessment methodology, which should be linked somewhere below. But yeah. And the one issue is the recyclability assessment is based on materials that are currently recycled. So throughout the industry, we will also need to see development within the recycling industry. There's also a bit of concern about transparency. So this is quite a lot of fees going in. Whether the government will ring fence everything and make sure it's spent on improvements to recyclability and recycling infrastructure is still something we're yet to see. And that's quite a big concern.
Yeah, I mean, similar with the packaging tax, that we don't actually see that money being funded back into the industry for recycling. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, could you just please summarise for us for just the key points?
Yeah. So EPR is shifting the full financial burden of packaging waste onto brand owners. Full rollout is planned from October 2025, with modulated fees increasing through from 2026. The key issue will be understanding recyclability assessment methodology. It's in place and it's likely to be developed further. So I think it's very much worth our, sort of customers bookmarking that page and making sure they're kept up to date with it, sort of thing. Success does rely on improving UK recycling infrastructure. Funding for this isn't clearly linked, but hopefully it will be used, the collection from this tax will be used. There is also links to other other legislation coming in the UK. So we've got the Simpler Recycling Act and deposit return schemes. These will also likely have an impact on both the cost and the recycling rates. We've focused on plastic packaging, but the EPR does apply to all packaging types. So glass, cardboard, metals will all also be paying EPR fees. So that's something we don't know how that's going to affect the market as an overall.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much for your attention. If you've got any questions on EPR and how it may affect your company, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us, myself, Joe, or your Prostribution account manager. Thanks very much.